It seemed like we were trapped. We were at a hotel with only a week paid for. At the same time, the emergency caravan that we had turned out to be a deep pit of trouble, and I was no longer able to drive it. After a much deeper inspection, I found out it was dangerous to drive, and the repairs that it needed seemed to be never-ending and very expensive. Suddenly, the fearful thoughts of being stranded were blowing in like a hurricane, and at that time, I had no way to cover our room or the vehicle repairs. While praying, the Lord made me promises to approve me for a new car. After all the chaos and attacks on this journey against our promises from God, my credit was in no way possible to have such an approval. I had to relinquish control when I chose to follow Jesus into this new state with only my income as his personal promise. That meant that I had to offer the money I received to God as a sacrifice of trust, and I would use that money as he directed. Sometimes his timing and mine were not agreeable. Of course, I wanted nothing more than to pay everything on time and be a picture-perfect citizen. But God often challenged my faith and had me move our funds in other directions, or he would not send the promised support in the time frame that I wanted. When you have a very intimate relationship with Jesus, promises will be introduced. And his promises have been our lifeline of survival all this time. They're like having a baby where our faith connects with his all-powerful words to create new life. God made me a mother of promise, and those promises have kept me and my children alive. I woke up with so much gratitude this morning because if it were not for God's promises to me, we would have not survived even a minute of this journey. He saved my life. The thought of going to apply for an auto loan with only the Word of God as my income, messy credit with a history of repos, and no permanent resident was dreadful to even consider. I was scared and embarrassed. But I swallowed my pride and we went to the dealership on the promise of God. After 3 hours of trying different banks, the dealership gave me an approval for a car loan. The only mountain that I had to cross was that it required $5,000 down. So there I was with my promised car approval, but no way to pay for it. In the promised refuge hotel room with no way to extend it. I felt like I was trapped with no way to go in either direction. Then the Lord told me to cover his promises in my thoughts, like putting oil on the scalp to encourage hair growth. He told me that the room refuge and the car and all the other needs were a promise. And like a good father, he would provide all that was needed to take care of those babies. And that is what I did. I continuously declared that the Lord covers all my needs out of his riches, over and over in my thoughts and words. All I could do was believe and to tell my mind and heart to align with God's words of promise. The power of deliverance came from the Lord. It was not long after that when the Lord started to give me layers of rich support to cover our needs, like clothes to cover a baby. I was able to pay the $5,000 down for the car, and we drove off with a much safer vehicle with plenty of space to carry our belongings. Out of those wonderful layers of support from the Lord's rescue, we were also taken back to an Airbnb where we could finally stop spinning from moving around in hotel rooms. God gave us this covering of refuge, as another promise fulfilled to be our home for the whole month of May. Once we arrived, we loaded up on food and we were able to enjoy the relief of God's love rescue to keep His words. Not only did God supply the needs for the promises that He gave, like clothes and nourishment for babies, but He gave us an experience of His goodness that instantly melted away the pain and worries that I had been facing while I was trapped. He took us from the first floor of a hotel room that was about to end and having no transportation to the 22nd floor of a sky-rise apartment that overlooks the glittering lights of the city and a new car to drive without fear of dangerous accidents. It was not anything that I did or that I could do. It was the power of God to uphold us in His promises. When God asked me to start meditating on His promises, that was bringing me into alignment with His love, like in John 15, so that the fruit of His words would emerge as I was abiding in them as my home. I cannot even contain my tears today, because not only did God rescue us from falling again or being on the streets and helpless again, He made me a mother of promise and beautiful daughters and a happy home. Even if that home is a traveling home, it's still a home from God. This one is for May, and I look forward to all that God has planned ahead. Sometimes it hurts so much to have a different kind of life than almost everyone else. It hurts not to be normal, with a regular home or predictable income. However, in moments like these, I can taste and embrace the sweet beauty of this calling. I'm no longer fighting it. Truly, Jesus is my home and my provider. He is my husband and my ever-present rescue. And if He had not taken me through such an extensive journey of faith, I would never know these moments of His tangible promise pouring out from His intentional love. So much transforms when we accept where God has us and what He has called us to do. We drop the resistance and complaints, and we open our heart to trust the plans that God has made. When we surrender to His timing and His unique path for us, the miracles are breathtaking. The miracles flow from trust, surrender, and being open to what God has for us. We are no longer fighting or resisting. We have chosen faith over fear. We believe His promises are here and real. We are held in His love. We are experiencing His miraculous blessings in ways the world has never seen. And suddenly all the pain transforms to beauty. And you really understand and know that you are loved endlessly. I love you dearly. This is Dannette from diamondsfromthedust.com.